Hey folks, it's Brian with my review of the RuneQuest, role-playing in Glorantha manuscript I got at Gen Con. Excuse me. We finished with Priests, I believe, last time, so now we're on to, no we didn't, it was Initiate, so now we're on to Rune Priests. So my next one will be Rune Lords. I had to break this up pretty tight, but it is making smaller videos, which I think is a better thing overall. If you agree, let me know. Okay. Rune Priests, they are the source of magical communication. Again, we're talking about the cult is communication between deities and people, mortality. The requirements are obviously much higher than they were for initiate. You have to begin as an initiate. Your rune affinity needs to be up to 90% now, and you have to have either loyalty to your temple or devotion to your deity at 50% or greater. And this is going to tie in again when I get into Rune Lords about this whole differentiation between Rune Priests and Magic and Rune Lords and Martial. They used to be kind of equal, but now they're skewed drastically, in my opinion. Also, a passion at 50%, I would be really, really in a tight bind to have to roll a passion at 50% to augment something I was doing. 50-50 is just not good odds. So when I first read this, I go, 50%, it should be 90, just like the Rune Affinity. And if we were balancing out Rune Lords and Rune Priests, it probably would be. So that might be something I mess with. I'm not sure. I mentioned before about the 5 rune points, and here it comes in. You have to have 5 rune points in order to become a priest. So your initiate will sacrifice permanent power for rune points at least 5 times. Now, if we go this whole one-use deal, it could be many more than 5, because these 5 you have not used yet. Which I still think it should be a one-use thing when you're initiate. Just my opinion. But then there's a whole, you do the, the whole initiate track. Is that where you're getting all your rune points and rune magic as initiate, or is it as a rune priest? I'm gonna have to go back through the rules and look at that again, because it's feeling more and more like initiates are the whole rune points, rune magic start, and you get the baseline. You sacrifice 1 point, you get all the common spells. So I don't know. I can see priests having all the common spells. Straight up, I can see that. So yeah, we'll have to work on this one. Okay, so 5 rune points, a power of 18 or higher, your worship deity, and 4 cult skills. No, cult spells. That can't be right. It's got to be cult skills, because your spells are based upon your rune affinity at 50% or more. But then, priests are magic users. Should be spells. But that's just dumb. If your rune affinity is 90%, your spells are based upon your rune affinity. They're all at 90% to begin with anyway, when you roll your character up. I don't know. And then, the catch-all. There needs to be a vacancy available. And then you have to convince the cult examiners. And they specifically state that you can role play this out. GM as examiner, player as character, and role play that examination out. Or you can simulate it with this role I'll talk about in a second. In fact, let me talk about that now. The role. Or you can do this role. Power plus charisma plus 1 for every 100 lunars you donate. Take that, divide it by 3, times that by your 5%. So if your power is 18, your charisma is 10, that's 28. Is 200 lunars, you're up to 30. Divide that by 3, that's 10%. That's 10 times 5, that's 50%. average guy at priest level, average guy, 50% chance of passing this test. It's not really that hard. Now that I think it out. But getting back to the whole role play or make the roll. The way I would do it is I'd do both. I'd have them just role play it out kind of thing, and then I'd make them roll. That's just what I would do. That's how I play. The issue I have with this or statement is, what if you have a guy who cannot role play at all, but he's got a high power and a high charisma, and he donates a lot? You say, well, then you do that instead. What if you got a guy who can really role play? His power's 18, but his charisma's 3. He doesn't donate anything. Is he really going to be able to pass this test just because he can role play well? I don't know. Like I said, I do both. Okay, benefits. Same as initiate, gifts, plus this other stuff. Temple resources and support. Generally, a temple will outfit their priest with armor, weapons, a mount, and they will either ransom their priests or send a rescue party for their priests. And also, becoming a rune priest, rune master, rune priest, puts you in a social category of a member of the ruling caste. No problems there. Also, being a rune priest is easier to make your power gain rolls. You get a plus 20%. In RuneQuest 2, it used to be that you went against a 25 instead of a 21 because that was species maximum. But that's 4 points. That's 20%. They just changed the verbiage. No problems there. You get easier rune point recovery. When you lead a holy day sacrifice, you can recover rune points. And if you lead other cult sacrifices, you can recover rune points. But they don't really specify how many here. Hopefully later on, somewhere they will. But then they go and say you can replenish. Same paragraph. You can replenish all of your rune points with a successful worship skill at a temple or holy place. You can recover rune points by leading a holy day sacrifice. Successful worship skill. Are they really different? Now, being a power player kind of guy that I am, when I was playing RuneQuest 3 and that sort of thing, I would get that warding deal thing, and I would sacrifice points so that I had this huge duration so that I could take a holy place with me wherever I went, so I could recover my power points there, wherever I was. Roll my carpet out, kneel down, make my prayers, do my worship skill. Maybe that's how they're trying to differentiate. You can do worship skill at a temple or holy place on your own, not associated with a holy day, and then you can recover all of your rune points. Now, it seems to me that if you're actually running a worship service on a holy day, that should be all of your points. And in the starter set, it talks about that. There's a holy day every season, and that's when you recover all your rune points. So yeah, it's just verbiage. It's not coming across very clear. Also, as a priest, you have access to enchantment spells and special cult rune spells. So special cult rune spells as a priest, as an initiate, is it just the general rune spells? But you just learned them all if you sacrifice 1 point. So I'm not quite getting what is a initiate sacrificing his rune points for if they're not special cult spells. But you also have access to sub and associate skills. Maybe that's the difference. I don't know. Not very clear. Okay, as a priest, you also have access to training and experience. You automatically receive 1 point of cult spirit magic during sacred time. That's that 2 weeks at the end of the year. This separates, I believe it's storm season from spring season. And you can train in any of the cult spirits for your cult skills. Cult skills, not cult spirits, sorry. You can train any cult skills, too many S words. Cult skills for free. Again, training just takes time. Also, as a Rune priest, you have access to getting an allied spirit. This is actually pretty powerful bonus here. They tell you all about the allied spirit before they tell you about how rare this really is supposed to be. I would think, very rarely you can get cult spirit. Here's how you get it, and then blah, 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 but they don't. Here's the cult spirit: 2d6 plus 6 intelligence, which apparently is human average. Which again, if you remember from early on during character creation, I'm going, why do we do 13 on intelligence and size and 10 for everything else? RuneQuest 2, we did 10 straight across the board. I'm not sure. I'm not seeing that yet. A charisma of 3d6 and a power of 3d6. And you can bind your spirit into either a creature or an object that is appropriate to your cult. And then they have a table of all the cults and things that are associated with them. Hamak is a sword. And oh, this is cute. Shalana Roy is a butterfly. I thought that was cute. Oh my goodness. Okay, so another thing about allied spirits. Allied spirits, by definition, are initiates to your cult, which means they get all those bonuses as an initiate. All things they can do magically. They can sacrifice for rune points. Your spirit and you are in continual mind-to-mind communication, and you can use each other's spells from each other's location. So you can cast your spells from your location, or you cast your spells from its location. If it's an animal, it'd probably be somewhere else. If it's an item, you're probably out on it. From its location, or you can use its spells from its location, or its spells from your location. That's a huge power multiplier. You also share each other's senses, so you can see and hear, etc., through your assumed creature. At this point, I don't think a dagger or a bell can really have senses, but from where they are, so you can send them above head, and you can see and smell and hear, through their senses. That's cool. Kind of like familiar in most other game systems. But here it goes. An allied spirit must be persuaded to be your allied spirit. And this is essentially a power versus power roll. For the spirit, it's power plus intelligence divided by 2. Now they have it written as just your intelligence divided by 2. So if its intelligence is 10, it's power plus 5. Rather than power plus intelligence divided by 2 being the average. The way my gut feeling of seeing this is it's intelligence divided by 2. So if its intelligence is 10, it's a 5. Power is what? 2d6. Oh, it's 3d6. So it's 10. Intelligence is 13. We'll make it 12. So it's 6. So it's 10 plus 6. Whole thing times 5%. So that'd be 16 times 5%. That's what, 80%? No. Yeah, 80%. It has an 80%. As the priest, it's my power again, because power versus power roll, but it's my charisma divided by 2 times 5%. So if everything balances out, it's a 50-50. Not really that hard, but not necessarily easy either. And it's on the resistance roll table. You're the active, you're the priest, you're trying to persuade him, he's the passive. So you've got 50% chance with the example I had. Not too hard, but if you do fail, you can only try once every year on the High Holy Day to re-persuade him to be your ally. Spell teaching. Now, they have spell teaching underneath, what's it called? Benefits. Me, being required to teach spells at your temple is more of a responsibility than a benefit. That's just my 2 cents. Again, this takes a week. And there's a certain amount that your temple will require you to do for free to your lay members and initiates and that kind of thing, because that's part of the deal. The temple teaches, and you're part of the temple, so you teach. But after you get over that level, you can charge. However, as an initiate or lay member, whenever I go to learn cult magic, it's actually at a set cost. It's not free. That's interesting. So I'm paying money to go straight to the temple. But the priest, after he does his so many weeks of free stuff, can start charging so that he gets money for it. Maybe he gets that half price then. Oh, maybe. That makes a little more sense. Because when I first read it, I'm going, how does the initiate who's getting it for free have to start charging you because you're charging him? Or paying you because you're charging him? Yeah, it got kind of weird. Okay, big benefit, divine intervention, which we talked about before. Okay, duties and responsibilities for being a priest. 9/10 of your income. Why cannot we use 90%? We use percent in everything else we talk about. Time, again, 9/10. Why not 90%? On your cult holy days, you need to sacrifice your 2 magic points. You need to lead services. No problem. You cannot, as a priest, you cannot voluntarily reduce your power below 18. Now, there are things that can happen to you where your power gets below 18. For example, divine intervention. If that does happen, you are considered in an involuntary leave of absence. How do you role play that out? That's kind of cool. You can play some games with that. Involuntary leave of absence, out of the area. You cannot come to the temple. Why? Because all these initiates, these lay members, know you're a priest, but you can't do priest stuff anymore. Get out of town. Used to be that way with young girls getting pregnant. You wouldn't spend the year with your aunt because there you could give birth and not have that stigma kind of thing. Interesting idea. Okay, God Talkers. This is brand new for RuneQuest Glorantha. These can be either initiates or rune priests or rune lords. I talk later on about being a retired rune priest, becoming a God Talker. These guys have some of the privileges and responsibilities of a priest. These are the guys that tend shrines. That's their primary responsibility. And this is how I envision these guys. They've been a rune priest or rune lord. They've been out adventuring for years. They're old. They're tired. They become a god learner. They go settle in a small little town somewhere. They maintain the shrine there. You lead service and stuff. All the young men and women come swamping to you. Tell us all about Glorantha, that kind of stuff. And so you do your little, it's almost like a hedge witch on the religious side. I feel that's an interesting piece of flavor that I really like. The requirements are usually the same as a priest. However, the vacancies obviously are more common. For example, if there are no vacancies, hey, I'm going to go over this town. I'm going to build a shrine. I'm now the god learner for that village. Duties and restrictions. A god learner may not initiate a lay member. Raise them from lay member to being an initiate level. You have to go to the temple for that. You have to have a real priest for that. And they have to maintain their own occupation, their own living kind of thing. Because they're, taking that shrine out there. They're not getting paid by the temple. They have to sacrifice 1/10 again. Why not 10% of their time? But 50%, not 1/2 of their income. Consistency is one thing that drives me nuts. Again, they have to observe holy days and sacrifice 2 magic points. Benefits of a god learner. There we go. Benefits of a god learner are pretty much the same as being an initiate. They can replenish their rune points. However, there we go. Benefits the same as initiate. However, they can replenish their rune points. They have access to enchantment spells. They get that plus 20% of their power gain rolls. They get 1 point of cult spirit magic every sacred time, which is once a year. Again, benefit to teach. They can teach cult spirit magic. They get free training in cult skills. I have to wonder where that's coming from. This temple actually sending somebody out there. That's kind of iffy. They have access to divine intervention as a priest, again, taking off the rune points and the power kind of deal. But they get no allied spirit. So, what if this god learner is that retired rune priest? He's already got an allied spirit, right? Well, by the time he's a rune priest and has got to the point where he's retiring, he has probably made that 50% roll to get an allied spirit. So he should have an allied spirit. Does he lose it as soon as he becomes a god learner? Maybe. I don't think I'd be that harsh. I think this statement here about no ally spirit is if you're an initiative becoming a god learner, you don't automatically get to pick up. You don't automatically get to try to persuade an ally spirit to ally with you. Okay, we are on now page 194 out of 299. The book itself is going to be bigger than that because they have no pictures and very little formatting. But well over halfway. Next will be Rune Lords, and it looks like I may have time to get that one done today. Good to go. You guys have fun. Ciao.